What's going on? Brian Carroll here, continuing the series of articles that I wrote 8 to 10 years ago. This article is 4 muscles you must build to get strong. Now, you can also use this article as an assessment for other athletes if you're a coach, or looking at other coaches to see if they practice what they preach. So let's get into this. Obviously, I'm a powerlifting coach, so I favor these muscles because they are strength specific and they're things you can look at, but I'm sure this can be applicable in other areas of sport and such as well. So if they claim to be strong or knowledgeable and they don't have at least 3 or 4 of these muscle groups developed, I always give everyone the eye test. Now, not everyone needs to pass the eye test depending on what they are, what they do, what they're trying to help you with. But if you're looking for a strong person, you can look at these 4 muscles, or if you're trying to get strong, these 4 muscle groups are something you should look at. The first one is grip strength. Now, you got to have a strong grip in strength sports. We know this. Big, strong forearms. Wrists, hands, and fingers are a must if you want to be strong. Now, how do you attack these muscles? How do you bring them up if they're a weakness? Well, any type of grip work, pinching plates, carrying a suitcase, going out for a walk, farmer's carries. But something I learned from Ed Cohn a long time ago was doing double overhand shrugs, where you're locking in your hands and not using a under grip with either of the hands, really locking in that grip, wrapping your thumb around your fingers and not letting that bar slide out of your hands and holding it for as long as you can. You can also do the double overhand grip deadlifting too, and then when it starts to become too heavy, you can switch over to the over-under grip. That's an option for you. So grip is important, big forearms, strong hands, strong fingers, strong wrists. The next thing is, of course, traps. Traps are foreheads, big part of the back. You can see them from a mile away. So if you want to be strong, you need to have jack traps, or if you just want to at least look strong, jack traps are a must. I haven't seen too many people that are very strong that don't have any traps, but there are going to be exceptions. How do you build it? Well, you can do shrugs, you can do carries. Deadlifting to me is the best bang for your buck. If you deadlift enough, you're going to build those heads of the traps. You can finish them off with some high rows or some shrugs or something like that to help build them, but the compound movements are going to be your key, and also your genetic predisposition. I can look at a barbell and do 2 shrugs and my traps will grow, but I can do 500 bench presses and my pecs won't grow. So everyone's built a little bit differently. So attack the traps with deadlifts and holds and carries and shrugs, and you can watch them grow, but you got to get these muscles strong. The next thing is you got to attack your triceps. So triceps make up a big part of the arm. You have 3 muscles versus the bicep being 2. Triceps are important, especially if you're going to bench big. Biceps really don't do much for you. They're good for looks. You need to have somewhat of a semblance of a balance in the arm, but triceps are the king when it comes to pressing. And how you build this muscle is extensions, press downs, and my favorite is any type of variation of a close grip bench. You can play with the grip width, you can go off boards, you can do it on the floor press. There's a bunch of different ways you can attack it, but any type of close grip work to me is the best bang for your buck. This is going to be dependent upon your limitations and your injury history, so on and so forth. Some people can't do a bunch of skull crushers or close grip, so you have to substitute with bands and cables and such. So do with what's within your limitations and build the best triceps that you can. The last part is the core, now specifically the glutes. I don't know too many strong people out there that have flat butts. There are exceptions, people are really quad dominant. I get that, but generally the rule of thumb is a built-up core will include pecs, obliques, of course the frontal abs, the glutes, erectors, QLs, and lats, and maybe a little bit of traps too, depending on how you look at it. The trunk as a whole, from the anterior standpoint, from the lateral standpoint, and of course the posterior standpoint. Now, some of the exercises that I've named already can be great core builders, like the suitcase carries, working the deadlift, but today, specifically doing the McGill Big 3, I know you've heard me talk about this ad nauseum, but it is very important that you utilize these 3 exercises to attack your core, both for a longevity standpoint and for performance. Most people should be doing, no matter what their goal is, some variation of these big 3 exercises. There are some exceptions. So to build your core up, to build those glutes, to build those erectors, those obliques, those the rectus abdominis, doing the McGill Big Three, and then adding things on like the different types of carries I spoke to earlier, like the different things like stir the pot, the variations of stir the pot, the dead bugs, different things like that you can progress to once you start with the McGill Big Three, but that's very low-hanging fruit that you can do. It only takes you a couple minutes a day. I like to do them to prime my warm-up before I start lifting. This can save you in the long run, and then you can build on top of that. But if you can stand to gain a lot out of an exercise you don't do, start with the easiest ones. McGill Big Three are doable for a lot of people that are even in pain and or have limitations. You can modify them, but master the McGill Big Three. Do the progressions like I talk about on my YouTube page, whether it be the square pattern, rolling planks, those different types of things, and then start doing the stir the pot, the carries, the bottoms up carries, and then making it harder as you go. But as always, get the least out of the most. Thank you for tuning into this article that I'm revisiting from 8 years ago. The 4 muscles that you need to have jacked if you want to be strong. I'm going to continue this series as we go. Thank you so much and have a great day.